Members of Parliament clashed in the House of Assembly. There will be no new tax to fund national health insurance, and Prime Minister Perry Christie announced a major cut to the country's deficit. We've got those stories and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. Tempers flared in the House of Assembly this week after the Public Accounts Committee openly rejected the House Speaker's order to suspend its probe into Urban Renewal 2.0. An argument erupted at Parliament on Tuesday as members of the governing party, the opposition, and House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major disagreed over the Public Accounts Committee's open rejection of the Speaker's recent order to suspend its probe into Urban Renewal 2.0. The war of words was sparked after St. Anne's MP Hubert Chipman, the PAC's chairman, took to the floor moments before the House prepared to adjourn until Wednesday. Mr. Chipman insisted that by seeking advice from the Office of the Attorney General concerning a parliamentary matter, Dr. Major failed to respect the separation of powers that exists between the executive and the legislature. His comments set off a firestorm that lasted nearly 30 minutes as members of both sides stood on points of order, shouted, struck their desks, and accused those opposite of misunderstanding House of Assembly rules or trying to stifle democracy. In some of his most forceful comments since beginning as the House Speaker, Dr. Major accused Mr. Chipman of making inappropriate and extremely contemptible statements. The verbal tussle came nearly 2 weeks after Dr. Major ordered that the PAC stay its hand in investigating Urban Renewal 2.0 until Parliament has addressed issues relating to an Auditor General's report, which raises concerns about the weaknesses in the management and expenditure of the program. Investigators had their hands full this week with several new murder cases. A man died in hospital on Thursday night, a short while after he was shot in the Pinewood Gardens subdivision. Police have identified him as 31-year-old Merritt Eugene Forbes. According to reports, just after 6 p.m., the victim was repairing his vehicle in front of his home located at Chestnut Street, Pinewood Gardens, when a dark-colored truck pulled up. One of the truck's occupants discharged several shots at the victim, hitting him multiple times about the body. The truck then sped off. The victim was rushed to hospital in critical condition where he later succumbed to his injuries. Police confirmed that the victim was being electronically monitored and was released on bail late last year for an indictable offense. According to well-placed sources, he was charged with murder in 2011. His death brought the country's homicide count to 62 for the year, according to the Tribune's records. The killing came a day after Georgette Ramming, 21, was shot dead on Tuesday night at her home off Blue Hill Road. According to police, shortly after 11 p.m., Miss Ramming was on the porch of her home on Palmetto Avenue when a man shot her in the face and fled the scene. Her mother, Lavita Thurston, told the Tribune her daughter was recently threatened but decided not to report the incident to police out of fear for her life. On Tuesday morning, a man was shot and killed on his way to work during an armed robbery off Shoulder Road. The victim has been identified by police as 41-year-old Trevor Smith of Catnip Close, Fox Hill. This followed the discovery of a partially decomposed body of a woman in her early 20s in a lake off Coral Harbor on Monday afternoon. Bahamians could breathe a sigh of relief this week, at least for now, after Prime Minister Perry Christie announced that there will be no new taxes to fund national health insurance. The Christie administration is not stupid in its handling of the economy, and there will be no new tax imposed on Bahamians to fund national health insurance at this time, according to Prime Minister Perry Christie on Wednesday. State Finance Minister Michael Alkitis told the Tribune the first phase of the health care scheme is projected to cost the government $60 million, which he said is reflected in the 2015-2016 budget allocation for the Public Hospitals Authority. He added that the government is able to afford the hefty price tag on NHI through general revenue collections. NHI is still on target to begin in January 2016 and will be phased in over a 5-year period, Mr. Christie revealed in the House of Assembly. The Free National Movement has continuously urged the government not to move forward with an additional tax on Bahamians to fund NHI, considering that value-added tax was implemented in January at a rate of 7.5%. A former cabinet minister under the previous Ingram administration said he does not believe that Hubert Ingram has plans to leave retirement to take over the leadership of the Free National Movement. Frank Watson told the Tribune that persistent rumors that the former prime minister is eyeing a stealthy political comeback are fueled by staunch supporters of Mr. Ingram and also those in the Progressive Liberal Party who want to make the current leadership insecure. He added that the Free National Movement must focus on new leadership, something he said the country wants. Mr. Watson served as Deputy Prime Minister in a previous Ingram administration and is a friend of the former Prime Minister. Despite Mr. Ingram's withdrawal from the political arena, there's a big faction within the official opposition that is pushing for him to make another election bid. Mr. Watson said, quote, "They want him to come back. That's the only reason. They want him to come back, but no, I don't think he's coming back. The last time I spoke to him, he wasn't even thinking about it. There are always those people who want Mr. Ingram back. They like his style of governing, and so they would like to see him back. But I think he has done as much as he wants to do." Instead of turning to the past, Mr. Watson said the party had to go with new leadership at this time. He said that it was not much of a choice in the matter. The nation's chief was proud to announce this week that through his administration's cutbacks and fiscal prudence, the national debt was cut by 2/3. Prime Minister Perry Christie on Wednesday boasted of his administration's fiscal achievements during the last financial year as he expressed optimism in the continued growth of the economy going into the 2015-2016 budget cycle. As a result of an economy that officials said performed well above projections, the Christie administration is set to borrow $182 million in the new fiscal year. While presenting the 2015-2016 budget communication, Mr. Christie said through his administration's fiscal work, the GFS deficit is now at its lowest over the last 7 years. He told parliamentarians that this fiscal year, the GFS deficit is estimated at $198 million. This is significantly less than the $539 million deficit that existed in the 2012-2013 budget cycle, a reduction in the deficit of $342 million. According to the nation's leader, estimates show that the total government debt at the end of 2014-2015 will amount to $5.356 billion, down $88 million from last year's budget forecast of $5.44 billion. The Prime Minister also announced that due to the revenue performance of value-added tax since its implementation in January, there will be several customs duty reductions and some tariff eliminations to ease the burden on Bahamians. Mr. Christie said there will be a 65% minimum duty rate on vehicles, down from the existing tax of 85%. In addition, the used car industry is set to experience a clampdown with the government's decision to ban the importation of wrecked vehicles and cars more than 10 years old, Mr. Christie said. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com. Like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network. Send us a tweet at Tribune242 or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.